right, we'll get started. Thanks for joining us, Team USA Men, Coach Keith and his player, Calahan. It's nice of you to be with us, and we're celebrating 1 year to go to Tokyo 2021 instead of 2020 as originally thought about. We'll just start off by just asking a couple of questions, and I'd just love to know how your team qualified and what the pathway was for Team USA Men to qualify for Tokyo.
We didn't medal at, I think they got in the quarterfinals at the 2018 Worlds, and at the IPSA qualifier in 2019, they placed, I believe, 5th. And about 40 days prior to the Lima Pan Am Games, I was asked to serve as the interim national team coach. The team had a fantastic pool play. We were first seed. We faced Canada in the semifinals. That was the team we needed to beat once we knew that Brazil got in the finals, because they already qualified as the defending world champions. The Team USA defeated them 6-4, and we punched our ticket to Tokyo.
And you talked about obviously having to go through Team Canada in the regional championships to qualify. That's obviously a long-standing rivalry. Tell us a little bit about that game and how you approached that game.
It was actually funny because in pool play, the Team USA defeated them 10-5. And the funny thing, I remember telling our assistant national team coach, James Wallace, that the guys were getting warmed up. We did about a 5-minute scrimmage, and they looked like really super sharp. And then in the game, Canada kind of kept it close, but I thought we were by far the superior team. And, balls were getting to the second layer of defense. It was hitting off post, and so really that could have been another wide open game. It was one of those at the end of nail biters. And I believe with 12 seconds to go, they threw a penalty. I think they were pushing the high ball line to punch one in. And if it didn't, it stopped the score. But since, we had 12 seconds, we declined the penalty, being up 2, held the ball for a good 7 count, and we just had to defend one more. So it was a lot closer than I thought it should have been. But, we know with sport that, you got to play the game. And I was really proud with the guys. And I was even more proud, in addition to that, is how they played Brazil in the finals. It was a little rough at first with penalties and a little bit of shot selection. But I thought in the second half, especially like with Calahan, throughout the whole tournament, I just nicknamed him Bang Bang because I brought him off the bench and he always gave us 2 goals. And even though he was just bang, not bang, bang, just having him coming off the bench and throwing, it really kind of pushed Brazil back because I think with 7 minutes to go, we were down 6-7 goals. And the guys went on a 5-0 run and really pushed Brazil back. And I think it's a lot, for me to only have 40 days versus a year and a half. I think the team should be ready. Team USA will be coming to Tokyo with a different type of approach that will be seen later. But I'm with athletes like Calahan, he's really, even since Lima, what he's been doing at a resident athlete program, you're going to see a big jump in his play and a couple other players' play since Lima.
Yeah, it's great. And Calahan, from your perspective, tell us about your journey a little bit into this team, because Team USA has gone through a bit of a transformation with some of the more experienced players giving way to some of the new and upcoming players. But you've been around for a long time. I remember seeing you in a Youth World Championships. Did you do 2009 or was it 2011?
So I started in 2011. That was my first Youth National Championships I attended. We came in 3rd place against Russia. And then from there, I joined the 2011 Youth Championships, where we came in 2nd against Japan. So I've been playing internationally for a little bit now, but never against the men's competition. 2017 was the first time I traveled with Team USA to a men's national competition that was in Malmo, Sweden. And from there, we went to Turkey, Lithuania. And since then, I've been developing and trying to learn how these other teams throw and develop as an athlete. And so now, when we went into Sao Paulo, or to Lima, Peru, you know, the number one objective was to qualify for the Tokyo Paralympics, but the second objective was to, you know, win overall. And so I think with the new coaching regime that we had, it really showed that we were there to win, not just qualify. You know, there was a number one objective, but overall we were there to win. And so it was kind of a new like culture that we were engaging in. And now that we've been engaged in this new culture, we are only in the culture of winning, you know, everyone paddling towards the same success that we all want. So it has been a major transition from going to these competitions to now we expect to win these competitions.
Yeah, that is an important point, and you've got some great competition in Brazil that you play constantly, and now you're developing that rivalry with Brazil, where you beat them in Rio to make the final, and then you know, they unfortunately defeated you, or fortunately for them, in Lima. But you would have learned some lessons from that. Coach, what did you take out of that final?
You know, right, you know, and knowing some of the previous coaches and talking with the athletes, maybe the previous coach was a little more cautious, but, you know, the Brazils of the world are the big boys on the block, and they know they're very well coached, they're very well prepared. And, you know, the champions of any sports, the mistakes they make are very few, and they're very small. So you need to capitalize. So coming out, when I say a more aggressive approach, it's you're going after them. You're not staying away from their strongest thrower. You're trying to hit all the spots on the court and really trying to make them play their best ball by you bringing. And Cal's right. That's the approach I kind of bring from being a long-standing Taekwondo athlete and coach and getting involved in this sport. This is a total body, total mind, total team type of sport. And, you know, the Brazils, the Lithuanias of the world, you know, it's very rare you catch them in an off game or off day. You need to absolutely be at your best. And to do that, you have to absolutely prepare for your best with them in mind. They're not gonna hand it to you. You know, it's like I tell athletes all the time, if you got money sticking out of in your hand, people are just going to take it, you know. And what you got to do is, you know, is create opportunities for yourself, but take advantage of those opportunities. And I think with the new team culture that Coach Wallace and I are implementing, you know, the Team USA is going to do great things moving on forward, especially with athletes like Calahan.
Yeah, and Calahan, from your perspective, playing Brazil, what did you take out of your experience in Malmo in 2018 that you brought into Lima?
You know, coming out of Malmo in 2018, you know, we played Brazil at least once for 1 week straight. You know, knew coming out of the gate that they were going to come out strong. And we now know that their precision and way to win the game. So we knew coming out of the gate that we were going to be able to control that with the game's knowledge and skills that we all had, because we knew coming into Peru that if we had the consistency to play defense at a consistent level, that we were going to be able to compete with them as a unit instead of just as 3 starters. So we came into Peru having 6 starters instead of 3 starters, because we knew that everyone that came on the court could start for the situation that we came into. So, you know, like, growing from 2018 to now 2020, 2021, we now know as a team unit, we are able to come together and we're able to beat anyone that we compete against, because we are, you know, we're a consistent team unit. That's the most important aspect of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to play as a team and win and lose as a team to be able to get that feeling. So that's an important culture point. Talk to me, Coach, about the history of USA goalball and why you chose goalball as a coach and your passion for it.
Well, yeah, USA's had a real extensive history in the sport of goalball. I know on the last time the women won the Paralympic gold medal in 2008, The last time the men's and women's double gold medal was back in 1984. And I think with the talent that's here in the States, that, you know, Coach Akowski on the women's side, myself, you know, we're really building towards that double gold focus and sustaining that over a long time. Obviously with 2028, with Los Angeles being our home turf, you know, we have a plan for that as well. You know, I got involved with the sport because a coworker of mine was the national team coach at the time, and his mentor was Tom Parrish, another USA coach. So there's a long history. I fell in love with teaching individuals who are blind and visually impaired, and I gave up being a USA para taekwondo coach and deaf Olympic coach just to coach my student athletes at my school. And you know, this trajectory has been high and steep, but you know, what I bring is a lot of coaching and programming experience, a lot of stuff with bringing in sports psych, you know, team dynamics. You know, I follow Tom Coughlin's American football's slogan of team first, team last, team always. And I instituted that with my youth team, my rec team, and now Team USA. You know, everything we do is that focus is like what's best for the team, not necessarily what's best for myself. And Cal kind of hit on it too. You know, we have a lot of talent here in the States, and it really doesn't matter who starts. It really doesn't. It's the team that starts, and it's the team that finishes. So that's how I got involved with sport. I think it's amazing. You know how it is, Murray. You know, you explain goalball, but until someone sees it at elite level, and all of a sudden, I mean, their mouths on the ground. I've had USA Taekwondo coaches and athletes do goalball at a presentation at one of the Olympic training centers and just get like, they're like, it's the scariest, most fun thing I've ever done. You would think that me kicking and punching people or people kicking and punching me would be fun. It's fun, but you know, goalball is to me, it's a true team sport.
Yeah, it is a very unique sport. That is true. Cal, from your point of view as a player coming up and some of the great players in USA history that have done some amazing things, what kind of advice have you been given and passed on through senior players?
You know, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've gotten as an athlete is to never turn away advice from anyone that's coming through the sport. One of the biggest, I mean, just anyone that coming through that can see what you're doing or to see how you're performing, you know, they're going to have advice or the feedback as to what you're doing and how you're doing it. And so when I first came into the USA training camps, it was always taught to always take that feedback as something that you can use to learn and grow off of. And so for my entire career, I've always used the small bits of feedback and information I can get as growing points. And so I've felt like that with those growing points, I'm now able to utilize them to the fullest because I'm able to conceptualize what I can do to utilize that and how to make my game better overall. So with coaches like Coach Young, he's able to give advice as to plant the seed of what I can do better and then grow off of that as to where I can grow from that and how I can fulfill that seed of feedback or acknowledgement of what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. So, you know, it's that full cycle of recognizing when there's something that needs feedback and then utilizing that information to better myself and my team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a luxury that the young players coming through have got such a wealth of information in USA to be able to pass along. And you look at players like Tyler Merrin as an example, and you know, Joe Hamilton and Darryl, who have been around for a long time, who have played with you and against you, and the value that comes from, you know, working with players like that would be immense.
Yeah, if I could piggyback off of that, we just sent two of our youth USA boys up for a month up at the resident athlete program, so they're already starting to get implemented into the system with weight training, conditioning, nutrition, on and off the court stuff. So, you know, I'm pretty fortunate as a youth coach, you know, to basically take a program that was crumbling to the ground and rebuild it. And I mean, we got so many boys from elementary up to high school that really want to play the sport and see that growth, but they also, we're going to probably bring Cal to our school in a month or so. I've brought Daryl Walker to school. I brought Tyler Marin to school just to speak and to do a couple of training sessions with our youth team, and they come out of it just, inspired,
Yeah.
And,
absolutely. And
Cal,
having that pipeline as well, obviously, to Los Angeles 2028, you need to start now, don't you? I mean, it's men's goalball is so deep at the moment, with so many great teams and teams coming out of Europe and Asia, and obviously the Americas is improving as well. So you don't know who you're going to face and who the next big team is going to be. So having that seed and having that system is really important now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you've already talked about wanting to win gold in Tokyo. That's your aim. With your preparation for Tokyo and your goals for Tokyo, can you tell me a little bit about how you formulated those, Coach?
With our goals, a lot of the things that I want to infuse with the team. It's easy to say every tournament either podium or first place, but we know the big four are the Paralympic Games, the World Championships, Pan Am Games, and if you don't qualify, the IPSA qualifier. For me, looking at tournaments like coming up, like the Pajulati Games, the Japan Open, even the War on the Floor, it's a time to kind of to reinforce and institute our systems, but also to take some chances on some things with the focus of not winning the battle to lose the war, but sometimes trying some things, try to galvanize some things with the focus of winning the big game. And again, Murray, you're a former coach and athlete. If you're doing the same things over and over again, your competition's going to be better than you. And when I say that, I don't say we do things that are just totally out of the box, totally wild, but it's sport programming. It's us having a roadmap. That's why I see myself as a coach. My job is to chart the course, point in that direction, and having the team charge towards that direction. Again, with the focus of, the big four, and with that, it goes with strength and conditioning. We revamped the strength and conditioning program. A lot of accountability, setting the bar high, because we're basically cramming tournaments from January 2021 to September, 9 months, but with a year and a half worth of international competition. So we got to go to work now, not January. It's now, and that's nutrition and that's sports psych as well.
And Calahan, what about your goals as a player heading into Tokyo? What's your focus from a personal performance?
As a player on a team sport, the number one goal is to win gold in Tokyo. So I really approach the role of anything I can do to help the team win gold is the most important aspect of my career, because if I can help propel in any way possible, whether it's as a six-man starter, any role on the team to help us get to that gold medal in Tokyo, that's the most important role that I can play. And, after 4 years of experiencing what I've experienced, either as a starter or not, my number one objective is to help the team win gold. And so, as a goal, that's been our underlying goal since the World Championships, and it kind of got magnified now that we actually got qualified for the Paralympics, and now that we're trying to win, we are trying to, no matter what, win gold, whether who's the starting three the entire time, or if it's a mixed group the entire time. We are one unit of 6 people, and we are trying to win gold in Tokyo. That's our number one goal and objective. And that's what I've come to terms with, and that's what I want for the team, because overall, that's how a team wins. If the whole team wants the same objective rather than individualistic missions.
Well, that's going to win you some brownie points with the coach in his system, I think. So good answer from you, Calahan. We'll get to the question I think that everyone's interested in. How has COVID-19 coronavirus impacted your preparation and your program, Coach?
It's been a very big challenge, you know. With this COVID-19, a lot of it was initial fears and what it would do to healthcare systems. And basically throughout the states, as us being a big geographic nation and having, you know, a resident athlete program and athletes not in the resident athlete program, you know, there's been again, a long process of how we go about returning back to play. What does that look like? You know, keeping the athletes safe, not having a COVID transmission that may cost an athlete, you know, their competitive career or a long delay in their training. So it's been very challenging, but I like challenges. And one of the things that I've reinforced is our commitment to strength and conditioning. If you don't have equipment, well, you can do body weight workouts and Tabatas. You know, if you got limited equipment, we can get you in the circuits. But also to, you know, recommending some reading for the guys. One of my favorite books is Mind Gym, and several, you know, shared it with all the athletes. Athletes have been giving us good feedback, and also too with our sports dietitian, who's you know, pretty amazing about, you know, cleaning up the diet, you know. So really taking that time, we might not get on the court, but we can do all those things that make us great athletes. And so when we're on the court, we're going 100 miles an hour. I say that we're not going to go 100 miles. We're going to ease it on in because, but, you know, again, this 2021 season is going to be an absolute monster as far as competitions. And I've asked for quite a bit of funding. We'll see if we'll get it. And if we get the funding, it looks like for a good 4 or 5 month block, we'll be going to an international competition once a month. So it's again, I like challenges, and you know, but it's allowed us also to do some programming and some a new code system for our team and being on the same page, talking about defense, philosophy and approach. So again, I think we've kind of focused on our body preparation, but also to our preparation between our 2 ears as far as having that shared conscious as a team. So again, it has been a challenge. You know, how can I work out goalball wise without being on a court? Well, it's like, and that's what visualization's for, or mental mapping. There are plenty of stuff for us to do, and I think that will help us brings the stress level down.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, obviously, look, coronavirus is affecting the world at the moment, and different challenges to that. And thinking about those challenges, what do you see as some of the roadblocks immediately going into Tokyo? So in the final preparation where, you know, you're preparing to go into the village, or you might have a holding camp before Tokyo. What are you seeing as some of those challenges that you and the team are going to need to face?
I see the challenge for us, obviously, Brazil and the Pan Am region are the other team that are going to Tokyo. I really respect the coaches and the athletes from Brazil, but right now they've had a lot of high COVID transmission. So we were actually planning a joint camp in the States last July, but it got canceled. You know, with our current travel situation, there may be countries in Europe that host high quality competitions where we may not be allowed to travel to. So that's I think our biggest challenge is where can or cannot travel at. And if it's proximity to the Tokyo Paralympic Games, do we consider not going to that tournament if we know these are our 6 going into Tokyo and not risk a possible setback with 1 or more athletes? So that's the challenge we face. I think we have been very well informed by our national Olympic and Paralympic Committee. I think we're taking all the safeguards. As a teacher at a state school for the blind, we get briefed all the time on the latest and greatest as far as information. So, you know, it's like with anything else, just make informed decisions and take general precautions. If we do that, we're going to be just fine.
And Calahan, from your perspective as a player in this environment of COVID, what are some of the things that are in your thought process?
You know, as Coach Young said, making these informed decisions is going to be the biggest crucial thing that makes our team accelerate forward, because, with these informed decisions, it's going to have the whole team on board. We're all going to be committed to the decisions made as a team rather than just a few people being on board. So, with COVID, trying to get everyone to be consistently conscious of like social distancing and wearing masks and hand sanitizing, convincing all these people that whatever we travel or what we do travel as is safe as long as we do these precautions. If we get everyone on board to commit to these different elements of our traveling careers that are probably going to be part of the forthcoming future, the quicker that we can travel and be a part of these high quality competitions. So the sooner that we can be on board and be safe about it, the sooner that we're all going to be able to compete at the highest level that's going to allow us to achieve the abilities that we are going to in Tokyo.
Yeah, if I could add something to what Calahan said, my biggest piece of advice for our national governing body and these athletes is treat our domestic competitions and training camps as if they're international competition or Tokyo. Practice now. There's, in your mind, there should be no difference when it comes to packing, sleeping, nutrition, hydration, to traveling, to getting on the court. If you put in that mindset, like, hey, I'm mentally right now as if I'm in Tokyo, you'll be able, your comfort levels, your anxiety levels will come down because you've practiced this several times. That's the biggest piece of advice I'm going to give to the team. And, if we do that, we're going to be highly successful come Tokyo.
I think the team strengths and cultures question that I'm going to ask next really plays into that, and it's about that preparation for high level competition at Paralympic Games and championships leading up to that. With everything around you, I think the team that's going to be able to block out all of the noise most successfully will be successful in Tokyo. And talking about preparation and doing the same things and having a routine is really important. And tell us a little bit about how you came to that philosophy with your team and how you see it working as well.
Sure. My stepfather was my Taekwondo master and sport coach in Taekwondo. And I know this goes around certain avenues with sport, but he would always say it's 90% preparation, 10% performance. If you sit there and prepare and your mind and body doesn't know the difference between a scrimmage and a gold medal game, a world champion or Paralympics, your body will naturally respond. So for me, I've never been one of those guys as an athlete or a coach that says, hey, I'm going to promise you a magic pill. I don't know if you saw it, but I know Cal and some of our athletes saw The Last Dance about the Chicago Bulls. Yep. And gifted as Michael was and as smart as Michael was, the man was just a beast in the gym. He was a beast in practice. And for him, practice was just like competition. He could not tell the difference. Once he pulled that uniform on and got on the court, that switch flips. And if you do that, and the successful teams and coaches, they understand that, like, hey, okay, off the court stuff. I'm a coach and a teacher, pretty much my professional career. These athletes, even though they may do 3 to 4 hours of work per day, you're really an athlete 24 hours, 7 days, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because you're resting. You're taking care of your off the court business and your relationships. You're eating and hydrating. And that's just my approach, train like you compete like you train. If you do that, you'll separate yourself.
And how have you felt the change in environment, Calahan, obviously from Coach Boyle to Coach Young, different styles, maybe different philosophies? How have you adjusted to the new style?
I'm a very open-minded adult in life, and so I was very welcoming to the challenge of joining either everyone in or everybody out, because as a teenager, I played football, basketball, all these sports where you had to have a team culture or else you never won. Like if you didn't have a team culture, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be one unit. And so I was very open to the idea of being one unit. And now that Coach Young and Coach Wallace have really brought this identity of one team, one one pursuit of trying to reach this gold medal in Tokyo, I'm really down for it, because coming into this team, my number one priority was helping the team win gold no matter what. Whether I was coming off the bench as the fourth person or the sixth person or a starter, my number one objective is to help the team win gold. So it's really nice to come into a culture where the coaches are implementing a culture of all 6 members of the team are to help the team win gold. That's number one objective. And any way we can get those starting 3 to get to the ability to achieve that goal, that's the best opportunity that we have. So I've been really taking taking advantage of that, because it's really cool, because then I really have the opportunity as an athlete to engage my teammates to help me engage in that role of, hey, let's help them compete in the best way possible, whether it's us or 3 other people, to win gold in Tokyo. So it's been an amazing opportunity so far.
That's great. Let's talk rivalries. So we've already talked about the traditional rivalry of Canada, and a little bit about the rivalry that's emerging with Brazil. But Coach Young, you haven't coached against any other international team from a different region, is that correct?
Actually, at the Pajulati Games, we got to compete against Lithuania, so that was really cool, and Turkey. Lithuania has always been very consistent and a great long-standing men's program. And to be able to watch them at some international tournaments, but then coach against them, I'm a lifelong learner. Every game, every tournament, I'm going to learn. I'm going to pull that in my toolbox. And watching how Lithuania operates and how some of their wing players, like Panovas, how he throws, and just some of those nuances, it's different. Again, it's what I learned in Taekwondo. It's easy to point the weapon. It's different when the weapon's pointed at you, and to sit on the other side and coach against them and take those lessons. Like, okay, I'm seeing how Panovas throws. This is what the ball's doing, how he sets up, and this is how the coach goes approach. And then about halfway through the game, I kind of look at their coach and I'm thinking, I think he understands English very well. Maybe I need to kind of turn my back and not be so loud with the calls. And, it's one of those things I asked afterwards, some of the women's national team coach, I said, he understands what I'm saying, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, duly noted. And, to watch Turkey as well start this upward trend, again, like you were saying, teams will pop up, and it's not us and 2 or 3 teams. It's us versus 9 other teams. Even with Japan, I've coached against them at a Midwest regional in 2019 against my Florida team, and it's going to be in their backyard, and they're going to have something to say. And typically, the home teams perform very well because it's in their country. So I'm not obviously the Brazils, Lithuanias, Turkeys, and Germany's are going to be strong, but I'm going to treat them all the same. We're gonna have a basic game plan. We're gonna play to our strengths, expose their weaknesses, and this whole thought. If any of the team members think this team is at our level or below, again, you're setting yourself up for failure in my eyes. You treat them all like Paralympic teams and go to work and execute.
Yeah, having coached against all the international teams previously, you have to be on your game all the time, and just, one little break in concentration, and then, you're down maybe 2 or 3 goals if that concentration continues. And against really good teams like these teams that will be in Tokyo, it's hard to get back. It's gone from, I think, a very offensive-minded game now to a very defensive-minded game. And so that strategy of how you coach and pick the gaps and run your troops around the court is really vital. Calahan, from your perspective,
add one thing. I'm a selfish coach. I want athletes that can play all 3 phases. You know what I mean? We have the talent in the United States. Let's all 3 phases. And let's be strong and all. We brought a Navy SEAL in to do a talk for the team, and one of the things he said was never let up. Always be on your A game. When you're doing the mission, you cannot let up. You know, obviously people are not going to die in our sport, but like you said, Murray, the difference between a Paralympic champion and a team not getting a medal is it's probably less than 1% the difference. And that's the margins we're trying to make up for. So I apologize.
No, it's momentum through the tournament, and there's a lot of different factors, isn't there, that kind of come into play. It's your team doing what they need to do, but it's also, you know, the X factors in a competition of momentum, or, you know, court time, or a penalty, or a high ball, or a long ball that can, you know, definitely like change the course of what you're trying to do in the game. So there's a lot of variables in goalball that people don't, you know, necessarily think of, but it's those 1%ers that can make the real difference sometimes.
Absolutely.
Calahan, from your perspective in rivalries, you've got quite a bit of international competition now since 2017. Who do you actually really enjoy playing with? For me, you know, I used to have rivals, and in playing that used to really get up for the games, and obviously you get up for every game, but, you know, there's that extra little bit of intensity in the traditional rivalries or teams that you really like playing against. For you, so far, what have you? What's been a rivalry that you've really enjoyed?
You know, the two rivalries that I've really enjoyed is between Lithuania and Brazil. But then with a third runner-up, it'd be Germany. All three of those teams, I really enjoy playing. You know, I play this sport because I enjoy the sport. You know, as a blind individual, I love goalball. And so getting to play these sports against people that are the best at what they do, Lithuania, Brazil, and Germany, you know, they're always executing. They're always consistent at what they do. And so it is the most enjoyable to compete against those teams because they're always going to perform to the level that you expect them to. So it's enjoyable because it's cool to see how precise they are, but it's also challenging because it forces us to be the level of competition that we know we can be. We know we can win gold in Tokyo. It's just being that consistent level of we are gold medal Paralympic champions, and we need to get to that point. So, you know, competing against these teams like Brazil, Lithuania, and Germany, it's exhilarating because it really pushes us to be those teams that we know we can be. And it's all about putting that capability towards these other teams and really showing out whenever we need to show. It's just about the mindset of taking that consistency and really implementing it so that we can be those gold medal winning teams.
I think, you know, playing against the best teams in the world is where you perhaps learn the most and take it back and improve. You know, if you're not playing the best in the world on a consistent basis, it's hard to improve to the degree that you need to in a high-level competition like Paralympic Games. So I think you're on the money there. Yeah, good insight. Just ask for any final comments that you'd like to talk about, Coach, and that you'd like to talk about Team USA.
You know, again, me and Coach Wallace have been working very diligently to get some stuff as far as support services and funding for our program. We know we have the talent to be on top of that podium, and with that, it comes with more funding and developing and building for our future. I'm a youth coach, and you know, it's like a two-sided coin. You know, one is like win now, but also two, win later and sustain that. So that's my approach. I think, like you said, Murray, we have a blend of veterans and newcomers. And my thing is, I don't care who you are. I don't care, you know, experience is great, but if you're a young guy and you prove it on the court, I'm picking the top six. We're rolling because it's Team USA. It's not Coach Young's team. It's not an individual players team. We're representing the United States, and I look forward to going to Tokyo, but also to watching the other competition, learning from these teams and coaching against them. And, you know, again, like Cal was saying, iron sharpens iron. The only way you're going to be the best is compete against the best. And the only reason you're going to be the best is once you get there to the top is maintaining it. You know, I don't want to be known for one thing, one day and one moment. I want to be known for the things that I do every day. And that's the culture we want for Team USA is, you know, we just don't win in the gold medal game in Tokyo in the final match. We win right now. Win your nutrition, win your strength conditioning, win your sports psych. Win, if you're going to college like Cal and grad school, win that. Win at all these things so that when we ask you to compete for Team USA, you're 100% in. Not 99%, but 100%. If we do that, we're going to be successful. And it's been a blessing to be asked to serve. And these men are just outstanding. Now it's a matter of just me pointing in the direction and us running like bulls as a group. And you know, I'm really excited for the future.
Great. And Calahan, any final comments from you or anything that you'd like to finish off with?
You know, as Coach Young put, before I feel like we were a bunch of individual bulls running through the field. Now we are a pack of bulls, and we are coming for the competition because we are one solidified group that is coming and learning how to compete as a group.
Up a little bit.
Looks like he's frozen a little bit. Appreciate Cal's time. He's going through the desert apparently.
As individuals, and that's a new culture. And you know what? I want to be in a culture like that because no matter what you do, in a culture of 6, you're going to win. And I believe that we are in a new culture where we can win gold medal in Tokyo and continue that. I'm excited about that new culture we have set in place and the new sets.
I think it's hitting the mountains there.
Yeah, great. Well, we appreciate both
Standard
of your time.
We're going to win gold, so it's really good.
Thanks, Cal. We're just having some problems with your audio, so we appreciate your time, though. We wish Team USA men all the best for their preparation, and stay safe during this challenging time. And we look forward to seeing you on the court, and I'm sure there'll be more media opportunities leading up to Tokyo as well. But thank you both very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Murray.
Thank you for the work you do.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the hard work.
Thanks very much.